G'day, and welcome to the Mission and Outreach podcast for Southside Uniting Church. I'm Reverend Jock Dunbar, New Missions Minister.
And I'm Reverend Esteban Lievano, Outreach Minister.
And it's great to have your company. We begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather, the Yagara and Turrbal peoples, and we want to pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, continuing to pray for God's reconciliation amongst all God's people.
Amen. And we've been talking to you about our services and the experiments that we've been doing. And I want to first and foremostly just acknowledge the amazing people we've got at Southside Jock. They've been our guinea pigs, dare I say, in all of these spaces. And we've done certain things like we haven't announced where we as preachers are going to be week in, week out. We've moved to different time slots, and the people have been amazing, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think particularly in the context of a year where we've been facing challenges, where we've had to adapt to those challenges. We all know, all the different challenges and things that we've had to adapt to. This has been another thing that we've asked people without asking, I suppose, but putting them in a position where, we've had to make we've had to adapt to that challenge for good reason, and people are, I think we're starting to embrace that, and we're seeing that over the last couple of weeks, some are getting into the practice of weekly worship, weekly face-to-face worship, so not necessarily attending the site at which they're used to attending for that worship service, so which has been really great, and it's been, I think, as an experiment, it's been going pretty well so far. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, me too. Like, I totally agree, and I love the fact that our people have been so open and accepting to the different curveballs that we've thrown them over this season, acknowledging fully well that we are committed to being a missional church.
Yeah.
And what that means for us is that we are going to face these interesting and fascinating challenges, and we're not going to settle. We're going to keep trying to find ways to serve Christ and to serve our community, and that's what it's been all about. So today we now look at the next chapter of that, which is, Jock, I've been worshiping at a particular worship center for most of my life, and now I can only go to that place once a fortnight. What do I do on the odd week?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think firstly, of course, there is what we said before. You don't have we can worship it every week, so and we can do that by attending a different center than what we would normally attend. So there's that option for us. The other option is to join together online. Because we have worship online as well, so that carries on too. So we can gather together and participate that way. But there is another possibility as well, and that's, if we're choosing for whatever reason to not attend face-to-face services every week, and even to when it's the online service, maybe to engage with that maybe at a different time, because it is recorded, and we can engage with it at a different time other than on Sunday morning when it airs. To use that time maybe a little differently, but for a different purpose, so for a missional purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we want to have that kind of conversation today about what are some of those possibilities that we could do around that time.
Awesome. I've come up with a name for that.
What's that?
I've come up with a name for, how we've been calling it the odd week, because it's the odd, we could call it odd things to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
okay.
that?
Odd things to do. Yeah,
Odd
right.
things to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, because it's not the normal practice of a Sunday morning.
Yes.
So we're doing something odd.
That's odd. Yeah,
on
good.
that
Okay.
Sunday morning.
All right. Yeah, cool. Let's go with that.
Cool. So, yeah. So what are some ideas? What are some of the things that we could do? What are some of the odd things we could do?
I mean, I'm taking into account that we've got, depending on where you are, so for those of us who are in Queensland, Brisbane, Southeast Queensland, there are a few restrictions around what we can do in our homes and what we can do with other people in public places, in parks, and that kind of thing. It's as we record it, we're sitting at 10. gather with. But given that, what are the ways in which we can offer hospitality to another family or maybe a few people, either in our home, using our home, or in another location like a park, and meet together, and maybe there's a possibility that you can purposely get together to have not just a meal together, but maybe in amongst there somewhere, a conversation either about being missional or about faith, or ways in which you feel that where is God present in your life, or where do you notice God? But like, are we, do we feel courageous enough to do that, to have that kind of conversation, with people that we'd like to have that with? That's one thing that sort of, I think, to sort of stay in that kind of vein. It doesn't have to be like that,
That's an awesome idea. So just to unpack it a little bit and maybe give people something to, hang their ideas on.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, there's someone in my life, like my brother, who I'm sharing my faith with, right?
Yeah.
And, he's been in church most of his life, but for whatever reason, he hasn't been coming to church recently. I say to him, mate, on a Sunday morning, why don't us go down to Victoria Point, go to a nice cafe, sit outside, have a cup of coffee, have a croissant or whatever. And
make me hungry.
Yeah, I know. It's lunchtime.
Make me hungry.
I'm feeling croissant. And we'll just have a chat about some of the stuff that you're going through right now. Have a bit of a prayer time, and we just kind of pray for one another and do that. I mean, those moments can be really powerful. When you're out and about and you're able to connect with people with integrity. So that might be one way to do what you're suggesting, which is to get out of the house, go to a specific location, whether it's with friends or family, and carry out our Christian practice in that different environment.
It would depend. I'm thinking about my family or even my friends. I don't know how they'd react if I said something like that to them about like especially prayer. But something that jumps out to me is turning the conversation around so that it's also about what can we learn, and
absolutely.
So and this is something that maybe this might lead to opening up a conversation around spirituality, around faith, and that's really quite legitimately, it's to really just to learn and understand what a friend, family member, whoever, thinks about, feels about, what their understanding is, what their experience is of faith, spirituality, God, the divine. How what's their worldview on it, and just to hear it out and seek to understand it from a place of non-judgmentalism, but just to listen, and because I reckon that's a position like that, a posture like that, can lead to those points of connection, between people. You could hear someone out and hear their story, and they might share with you a significant moment in their life where they felt something, or they experienced something. It might have been around a death in the family, or it could have been around a crisis situation. Often I find that someone had I can't place where I heard this story, but someone was sharing with me how they nearly had a car accident, but something happened in that moment that prevented them from having a car accident, and they didn't name it as God, but they named it as something that was beyond their understanding, so it's, and those kinds of stories that people have, I think they provide great points of connection and commonality, or even open up other kinds of conversations, along those kinds of lines, and also openings for you, me, to share where we might come from as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So thinking about that, and maybe another odd thing that we can do.
Yep.
So we know of this lovely couple, Bill and Alison,
Mhm.
who walk up to the Mount Gravatt lookout.
Mm.
I think they do it pretty much daily, don't
Yeah,
they?
yep. Bill and Alison, hello, if you're watching.
If you're watching, no, they're not on Facebook.
Okay.
Maybe on YouTube.
Maybe on YouTube. If you hear about this.
Somehow. But what they do is they walk up there, and they've noticed that they see a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
Going up there. Now, so an odd thing to do could be maybe on a Sunday morning, maybe there's a trail somewhere near you. Now, I want to fully acknowledge that our church is not a local church, right? So we've got people in Springwood, we've got people in Albion, we've got people in Annerley, we've got people in Yeronga, we've got people in Carina, we've got people in Carindale, we've got people everywhere. Okay, so we're not going to say, drive down to Toohey Forest behind Tarragindi Church, or drive down to Mount Gravatt Lookout, and that's where you need to go and do your spiritual walk. No. If you've got a place near you where there's a really beautiful trail, please, by all means, or maybe you do want to drive somewhere. Have you ever been to the trails up at Mount Tambourine?
No, I haven't. No, not Mount Tambourine.
Gorgeous, just gorgeous. They've got these trails that you can go up there. So you can park where all they got, like the market square and everything.
Okay.
And then there's like a cul-de-sac, and you can walk up the trail and everything. It's really beautiful. So that's an odd thing that people can do.
Yeah.
Is to go and commune with God in nature.
Yeah. That's great. I reckon a lot of people would feel really comfortable with that as well, because a lot of people feel that sort of that connection with God, through nature, the environment. Yes. Through all of that. No, that's a great idea. I thought you were going in a different direction.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying, because people like Bill and Alison, or and others as well, who go regularly walking, running through the same trail or path or whatever, seeing the same people, in appropriate ways.
You got me worried now.
Building a stronger connection with those people that they already see.
Oh, I see. So if there's someone that you walk with or that you cycle with that just happens to be on the same track as you go and you actually build that connection with them a bit more intentionally.
A little more intentionally.
Oh, yeah.
So we're learning, like you and I, we're learning about the relationship pyramid.
Oh, yes.
Right? So, and in some instances, our relationships with people are the grunt and the nod.
Yeah, so the relationship pyramid is upside down.
It is upside down.
Firstly. So it's a relationship oblong? What do you call an upside down pyramid?
I've no idea.
Actually, it's not even a pyramid.
It's not a pyramid. It's a triangle.
We are clearly experts at this. And does it matter that it's upside down?
No.
I don't think it does.
No, it's still a triangle.
It's no matter which way.
It's just oriented down. So
anyway, the base of the pyramid is where you have like superficial relationships, and as you work to the
let's not label it. Let's not judge it.
Reverend Jock Dunbar, not into labels.
That's right. And it's fine. It's fine to have those kinds of,
absolutely,
because there will be people who that is the extent of our relationship.
I do not have an intimate relationship with the person that bags my groceries.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Yes.
All they need to know is that, I get my bacon or what have you, and that the cold stuff goes with the cold stuff in the bag. That's really the extent of our relationship.
So there's a person who comes and drops, we get, postal deliveries, boxes and that kind of thing, get brought to the front door. The person is usually the same person who brings it to the front door. The extent of our relationship is effectively a grunt and a nod.
Yes.
There's nearly nowhere else to take it. And I've tried. I've tried. Anyway, yeah. So, but maybe there's a possibility to do that with people that you frequently see, and you have that kind of trust that's there at the just the eye level kind of thing. You know,
Absolutely.
I know your face. I see you regularly. Yeah.
So how would you start that conversation, Jock? So you
Oh,
and I,
wow.
we're walking down the same track,
Yep.
and we make eye contact, and then you go,
How you going? It's just saying hello.
that's it.
You know, and just I think that's where you start.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to take. This is how I do it. Try it. You just take what's given to you, and if the opportunity, and it's actually saying hello.
Yeah.
Hey, how you going today? And then maybe it's building on, hey, how you going today? Or maybe you make a comment. And especially if you walk in opposite directions, then that's about all you can ask for. But the thing is that maybe you might bump into that person, not in the walking track, but somewhere else.
Yes.
And it's almost like preparing for the unexpected,
Yeah.
the unanticipated opportunity, because you might be standing next to them in the pie shop or the bakery or the grocery store, and you might see them and they'll see you. They'll recognize you. You recognize them and say hello, and then you stop, and that provides an opportunity to have a chat. Maybe there's a whole different factors with all of these things, but it's whatever the opportunity provides you. So you got to start somewhere. So that's I don't know. That's probably how I think about it. It really takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
Having to sort of like
Find a segue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Dude, you must be hungry. The first place you went to was the pie shop.
I did,
It's
didn't I?
Is that what you're thinking? We're gonna go and have lunch together now.
Well,
and so it's
no.
just like that sounds real good.
Well, I was, it's funny. I was thinking about the trail, and the place, and the place where that happens, and at the place of, because we're talking about Mount Gravatt, so where that is, and at the bottom of Mount Gravatt, on the strip of on the Mount Gravatt Central there's a pie shop.
There is, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when I
a
used
very good pie shop.
when I used to live near there, I used to go there all the time.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. We might have to go there for lunch.
Ooh,
There's an idea.
Yeah,
There's an idea.
Mm.
You don't know something odd that I do?
Yeah.
An odd thing.
Yeah.
That I do, right? So I try to go to the gym, try to make it there a couple of times a week.
I love how you qualify it by saying try. Yeah.
Fail
Okay.
more than try.
Okay.
If I'm honest.
You think about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
What happens-
at least
what
you're
happens-
thinking about it. That's good. Well, that's good.
I'll quote one of my very wise elders who said this to me one day is every now and again I get the feeling that I need to go to the gym, and then I'll wait until that feeling passes.
That's great.
Anyway, yeah, I don't have that luxury. I have a wife who goes, "Go, you're paying for it. Go." Anyway, but I do find that if you're keeping regular time, that you're going to the gym, or let's say that you're going to work out at a certain park, you see some of the same people.
Yep.
And it's actually a lot easier to start a conversation in those situations. than you might think.
Yes. So like afterwards,
Yeah.
like if you're doing a class, or if you're doing your own routine, afterwards when everyone's finished, may have a chat.
Absolutely.
Opportunity to chat. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And I lift. And there'll be 2 or 3 other guys lifting at my gym, COVID restrictions and everything.
Sure.
And so going in there and seeing them, our conversation is always, what are you lifting nowadays, man?
Yeah.
And you start there, and you start talking about, the resistance, and you start talking about the challenges and everything else, and you end up finding you go from that nod conversation to jumping a few levels fairly quickly.
Yes.
Because you've encountered a challenge
Yeah.
that you find in common.
Yeah.
So, and that's really the segue that I wanted to get into, and that is that when we're talking with people, whether it's on the trail, whether it's at the gym, or at the pie shop, what's a good thing to do is to find that common experience, and to find those common challenges, and to be able to demonstrate that, we have hope.
Yeah.
As Christians, as believers in Jesus Christ, we have hope. And there's a lot of people in the world right now who don't have that hope for whatever reason. And part of our mandate is to share that hope. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if we're feeling because in the midst of that conversation about hope, there might be some people who maybe don't feel it as well.
Absolutely.
And like, that's like, that's okay. It's okay that, you won't always feel it. And if that's a prolonged season, in your life where you're not feeling hope, then that's okay too. Like, there's my hope is that when we're in those times, do we need to get extra support for ourselves? Do we need to call a friend? Do we need to call a professional? Do we need to go see our GP? To make sure that we're looking after ourselves, because through all this time at COVID, there have been, mental health is a big issue that's facing a lot of us, and maybe for some of us, it's not something that we have noticed before, but being in lockdown, being in isolation, social isolation, has triggered it for us. So so that's really important. So I suppose the hopeful message in that is that there is help, and there is a way out, and there are exceptions to this, but mostly it's a season too. So there's a beginning, but there's also an end as well. Like to that time of feeling like, maybe I'm not feeling hopeful. But there is that good message there. Yeah. What do you reckon?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, that's really the heart of the Christian message, I believe, for the 21st century. We've talked so long and so hard about preaching the gospel for the lost. And there are people who are lost out there who need to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ for salvation. Don't get me wrong, that is absolutely crucial. But the majority of the people we encounter on the streets of Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney are people who will have a jaded view towards Jesus, Christianity, the Bible. And we're not going to be able to relate to them on that level. We just aren't. But what we are able to do is live and demonstrate that hope that we have in Christ. And I believe that is really the gospel for the 21st century, is people who are willing to go out there, put their integrity on the line, and live out the hope that we have in Jesus. And I think when we do that, all those jaded people are going to look at our faith, look at the Christ that we follow, very, very differently. What do you reckon?
Well, I think for some people, if that is their experience, and their perspective, that there's, like, to use that word, jaded, there's probably good reason for it. And I think, and for me at least, I'm not seeking to change that person's view so that it matches my view. I go about those relationships in a way more like what you're saying. Living out the truth as I know it, living out the truth as I experience it, admitting the realities that I'm imperfect, the church certainly is imperfect, and I think people within the church know that. No, we have to deal with the imperfection of institutional church life, and I don't think that's going anywhere. I don't think that's going away. Personally, I'm not sure how you feel about that, but for me, that's the issue isn't how do we solve the imperfection of the church. The issue is, as a person who follows Jesus, as people who follow Jesus, how do we seek to do that faithfully? How do we seek to do that authentically? And to be open to other people who have a different point of view and a different perspective, but be in a place to still listen, to still hear, and even a view that and a perspective that maybe we don't like too. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree completely with everything you're saying. Like, the reality is that the church is here to stay, and the issues within the church are issues that are not going to be resolved overnight. But our job is not, especially as people who just love Jesus and love our community, our job is not to try and fix those problems. There's a lot of people who are working on that right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I was going to say that. I was going to say, that I hope people don't, whoever's watching, that they don't think that I'm thinking, we won't do anything about the problems, or
no,
not at all. No, we will absolutely put every effort into fixing everything, and not just fixing, but working on the things that we don't do well, and the things
Yes.
and the wrongs that we've committed as well.
Exactly.
Making sure that we do make every effort to correct those things, to
Mm.
seek forgiveness,
Mm.
because that's part of our faith.
That's right. That's right.
But it's the expectation. Is perfection the goal?
No, yeah, absolutely.
No.
Absolutely. And I'm really glad that you did mention that, because that's a good segue for the other odd thing that we could be doing on a Sunday morning,
Yep.
or should I say even anytime during the weekend.
Yeah.
And that is that perhaps for you, mission is not witnessing to others, talking with others about your faith, but mission is really more about serving others and meeting the needs in the community. So maybe on that odd week, if you can't make it to church, and you want to do something, take up a Meals on Wheels
Oh yeah. Yeah.
rota.
Mm.
Volunteer at your your local community center. Volunteer at a local op shop. There's a church-based op shop in Mount Gravatt at Mount Gravatt Central.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that they would love to hear from you. Meals and Wheels, of course, in Mount Gravatt as well.
Mm-hmm.
Visit a nursing home. You can. At the moment, there have been lockdowns in the nursing homes, but even take that Sunday morning to write some thank you cards for the amazing staff at the PA and Green Slopes hospitals who are currently serving our community, who are the front line of defense for this crisis. There are so many things that we can be doing where we can say, you know what, today maybe I'm not in that worship space, but instead I'm going to serve God in a different and unique way, and that can be the odd thing that I do on this odd Sunday.
That sounds great. To do that, either by yourself, with your family, with a friend.
Yes.
And if you could get a couple of people together and say, hey, this is something that I'd like to do. Would you be interested to do that with me? That could be a really powerful demonstration, and a way to participate in something that is giving back, blessing others, missional, because it's missional because of the intent. Like we're doing this out of a sense of out of who we are as people of faith, people of following Jesus. And that's lovely.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll edit that out. Yeah, thanks, man. I think that's a part of the fabric of our community as well.
Yeah.
We want to be people who serve.
Yeah.
So anybody out there who sows. This one.
Yes.
Yes, right. So Uniting in VicTaz is actually looking for volunteers to sew face masks that they can provide for their nursing homes and for their healthcare facilities. So if you want to find out more, if you're on Facebook, I will pop it in the description. If you're on YouTube, it'll be down in the comments. The link there you can go to participate in that one. And another face mask thing that people can do is you can actually grab a surgical mask and write on there end COVID for all. And if you visit unitingworld.org.au, you can actually post up your photo there, and that's part of a national campaign headed up by the Reverend Tim Costello to actually call the government to attention to end COVID for all. And so that's another one. I will put the details of that campaign also in the comments/description so that you can find out how you can do that. And these are all fun, interesting, and different ways to do something on the odd Sunday that you've got. Invite a friend. Tell them why you're doing it. Maybe you might want to invite someone who's from a different church, a different Christian church, that perhaps aren't meeting at the moment. There's a lot of churches who have decided to continue in the online space and not meet. And maybe it might even be someone from a different faith.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this is an opportunity for you to share in those faith conversations while you sit together sewing and making face masks and things.
that's right. I mean, yeah, and even to go back the other way too.
Mm.
You know, inviting someone of another faith to come to a worship service, church service, but then making the offer to go along with them as well.
Mm.
You know, and to learn something about them and the way that they understand, again, spirituality. And if you want some help with that, you can come and talk to myself.
Mm.
And come and talk to another person to talk to is Heather Griffin as well, who has a lot of experience in interfaith relationships too.
Reverend Heather Griffin
Mm.
is a retired Uniting Church minister
Yeah.
and current member at Tarragindi.
Mm.
And her husband actually produces a lot of our online content for us. So,
Yeah.
So big shout outs, guys.
Yeah, Heather featured on one of our online services in July, I
Yes.
think. Yes. So so lots of things to think about.
Lots of things to think about, and they need it because guess what? You're not going to see us for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
You're going on some leave?
Yeah, I'm going on some leave. I'm moving house, and so I'm going to take some time to go and pack up, and I'll be packing up with all of this equipment and everything as well.
Yep.
And you're moving house as well.
I am as well. Yep, and I've got some leave coming after that as well. So
And then after that, we have the wonderful joy as fathers to have our kids at home with us over the school holidays.
absolutely, yes.
So
yes.
so we're
It's-
going to take a break for a few weeks, I think.
Well, you got 6.
Yes.
So, you know,
yes.
I've only-
silly me.
I've only got 3.
Look at what I did. Well, I wasn't alone.
I was going to say, okay,
grown-ups.
all right. I don't know what Esteban's talking about there. Yeah, that just went right over.
Yes.
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 So you won't see us for a few weeks, but we'll see you in term 4, and we're moving to fortnightly as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see us a little less frequently, but we look forward to getting back.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that we need to?
Yeah, so next term we're going to be looking a bit more intentionally at the topics we want to cover. We're going to be posting ahead on our Facebook and our website. So look out for those. We have got a lot of questions. We would love to be interacting with you. We will always invite you to come and comment and engage with us. We've got some guests that we want to bring in. We actually want to make a regular space for guests. At the moment, the equipment kind of limits us on that as well. Where we've had guests, we've had issues with our sound. And so we're going to try and figure out different ways that we can make that happen. So we want to encourage you all to look after one another, love one another, and watch this space, because when we come back next term, we want to explore some of these really big questions that are currently in our community and find ways that we can bless you and that you can bless us by participating in our podcast.
So thanks for joining us for this episode of Mission and Outreach with Southside Uniting Church. I'm Reverend Jock Dunbar.
And I'm Reverend Esteban Lievano.
And we wish you and bless you. And now, what am I trying to say there? I'm trying to say goodbye. That's what I'm trying to say. So long, and we'll see you on the other side.
God bless.